Welcome to today's video. We're tackling a hard truth. The No Surprises Act is not a universal shield against unexpected out-of-network medical bills. Over the next few minutes, we'll explain where the law helps, where it doesn't, and the exact steps to fight back. We'll also cover state-specific protections, show diagrams to map your escalation path, and finish with actionable checklists. Here's the core issue. Many patients believe the federal No Surprises Act protects them from any unexpected out-of-network charges. In reality, shifts in provider network status, referral pathways to separate facilities, and administrative billing errors mean patients still get hit with large bills. We're going to correct the misconception and show you what to do. Before we proceed, a disclaimer. This content is for education only and not legal, medical, or financial advice. Rules differ by state and by plan type, and exceptions apply. For personalized guidance, consult your insurer, the provider's billing office, your state's Department of Insurance, or a qualified attorney. Here's today's agenda. First, we'll clarify what the No Surprises Act actually covers. Next, we'll identify common loopholes and where it fails. Then we'll move into a step-by-step plan to fight incorrect bills, followed by a review of state-level protections and an escalation flow. Finally, we'll reinforce learning with quick quizzes. The No Surprises Act focuses mainly on three areas. First, emergency services, even when out-of-network, are typically protected from balance billing. Second, ancillary out-of-network specialists working at an in-network facility, think anesthesiology, pathology, or radiology, are protected. Third, air ambulance services have limited protections depending on your plan and state. When the NSA applies, you should only owe your in-network cost sharing. If the provider and payer disagree, they use arbitration processes, but your responsibility remains limited to the in-network amount. Here are the common gaps. The NSA often does not protect you when you're referred for a planned visit at a separate out-of-network facility, even if your primary doctor is in-network. This includes out-of-network labs, imaging centers, and specialty clinics booked separately. Non-emergency services where you reasonably could have chosen an in-network site are excluded. You might also see gaps when a surgeon uses an out-of-network assistant, or when you self-schedule follow-ups at out-of-network centers after an in-network hospital stay. A key signal is when the service occurs at a different physical location or under a different tax ID than the in-network facility. Let's compare. Federally, the NSA mainly addresses emergency services and out-of-network ancillary care at in-network facilities, with certain air ambulance protections. It limits balance billing and caps your cost sharing at in-network levels in those scenarios. However, it generally does not cover planned out-of-network referrals. By contrast, many states have broader surprise billing laws that protect patients when in-network physicians refer them to out-of-network facilities. States also add complaint pathways, timelines, and sometimes their own dispute resolution processes, which can close the gaps left by the federal framework. This flowchart maps your escalation path. You start by receiving the bill and checking the explanation of benefits. Next, you verify network status for the exact date of service. Then you look for administrative errors, such as the group contract ID not being applied, incorrect NPI or taxonomy, or a mismatch in service dates. After that, you initiate a mandatory three-way call with the insurer's claims department and the provider's billing office. If the claim was misprocessed, request reprocessing using the correct network information. If the NSA applies, assert your balance billing protections and insist on in-network cost sharing. If the NSA does not apply, you move on to state surprise billing laws. If you still cannot resolve the issue, file formal complaints with your state's Department of Insurance and any relevant regulators. Finally, consider external review or independent dispute resolution where available. Only after exhausting these should you consider payment plans or financial assistance. Now let's walk through the mandatory three-way call. First, connect the insurer's claims department and the provider's billing office at the same time so no one can pass the responsibility to the other. Ask for the provider's network status on the exact date of service. Confirm the group contract ID and the NPI or taxonomy code used on the claim. If those identifiers are incorrect, demand reprocessing with the correct information, and a reclassification of the claim's network status. If the NSA should apply, assert your right to in-network cost-sharing and no-balance billing. If it does not apply, ask the insurer to identify state-level protections and explain appeal routes. Finally, send a written summary through the portal or by email within 24 hours, capturing the answers and the reference numbers. These are the administrative mistakes we see most often. The group contract ID may be missing, or the provider's network status may have changed just before or after your service date. The claim may use the wrong NPI or taxonomy, which forces it to process as out-of-network. Sometimes the claim is filed under a facility identifier that is out-of-network, even though the group is in-network. Emergency claims can be miscoded, with incorrect place of service or missing modifiers. Authorizations or referral numbers may be absent, which triggers out-of-network adjudication. Service dates can be keyed incorrectly and fail to match the explanation of benefits. Finally, insurers sometimes apply out-of-network deductibles when the in-network cost-sharing should apply. This checklist summarizes your action plan. First, verify network status for the exact service date with both insurer and provider. Second, confirm the group contract ID and NPI or taxonomy used on the claim. Third, check coding for emergency place of service and necessary modifiers, and ensure the correct facility identifier is used. Fourth, request reprocessing with the correct network flag. Fifth, determine whether the NSA applies and secure written confirmation of in-network cost sharing if it does. Sixth, identify applicable state laws and the formal complaint path with your Department of Insurance. Finally, if the issue remains unresolved, escalate by filing a complaint and retain all documentation, reference numbers, and screenshots. Use this 30-day timeline to stay organized. In the first week, obtain the itemized bill and the explanation of benefits, then verify network status and contract identifiers. In week 2, complete the 3-way call and request reprocessing, then follow up in writing. In week 3, check the status of reprocessing and, if necessary, file state complaints. In week 4, escalate to external review or independent dispute resolution if you are eligible. Only after exhausting these steps should you consider payment plans or financial assistance. Front-load your documentation, schedule follow-ups on your calendar, and avoid discussing payment plans until you have completed appeals and dispute processes. This mind map highlights the key stakeholders and artifacts that influence your bill. At the center is the patient. On one side is the insurer, including claims, appeals, external review, and independent dispute resolution. On another side is the provider, specifically their billing office, coding practices, and correct use of NPI or taxonomy and group contract identifiers. Facilities and their tax IDs determine whether a claim is treated as in-network. Regulators, such as the State Department of Insurance and the Attorney General, may handle complaints. Finally, the legal framework includes the NSA and state surprise billing laws. Documentation such as the explanation of benefits, itemized bills, call reference numbers, and written confirmations ties everything together. State protections vary widely. Start at your State Department of Insurance consumer page to see whether out-of-network referrals by in-network physicians are protected. Identify formal complaint forms, filing deadlines, and external review options. Check how your plan type affects these protections. For example, self-funded ERISA plans can be treated differently under state law, though the federal NSA may still apply in limited contexts. Use resources like the NAIC Consumer Assistance Directory to find the correct contacts, and document every step with names, dates, and reference numbers. Quiz time. Which scenario is least likely to be protected by the Federal No Surprises Act? Option A is an emergency room visit at an out-of-network hospital. Option B is an out-of-network anesthesiologist at an in-network hospital. Option C is a planned MRI, referred to as separate out-of-network imaging center. Option D is air ambulance transport, covered by a commercial plan in a state with protections. You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is the planned MRI, referred to as separate out-of-network imaging center. Planned services at separate facilities often fall outside federal protections. By contrast, emergency services and out-of-network ancillary providers at in-network facilities are typically covered. Second quiz. You receive a $2,300 out-of-network bill after a routine scan. What is the best first move? Option A is to pay immediately. Option B is to ignore the bill. Option C is to call only the insurer and wait for a callback. Option D is to initiate a three-way call with the insurer's claims department and the provider's billing office to verify network status and identifiers and to request reprocessing if needed. You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is to initiate a three-way call with the insurer's claims department and the provider's billing office. This prevents blame shifting, quickly surfaces administrative errors such as incorrect identifiers or network flags, and allows you to request reprocessing immediately. Here are the key points. The NSA generally helps with emergencies and out-of-network ancillary care at in-network facilities. Planned out-of-network referrals are a major loophole. Always verify network status for the exact date of service. Use a three-way call to confirm the group contract ID and NPI, or taxonomy. If federal protections do not apply, check state laws and file formal complaints. Throughout, document every detail and keep escalating until the issue is resolved. Here is a quick reference card. The NSA applies to emergencies, out-of-network ancillary specialists at in-network facilities, and some air ambulance services. It often does not apply to planned care at separate out-of-network facilities, or to out-of-network labs and imaging booked separately. During your three-way call, ask about network status on the exact service date, the group contract ID, and the NPI or taxonomy, and request reprocessing. For escalation, use your State Department of Insurance complaint process, then external review or independent dispute resolution. Only after these steps should you discuss payment plans. Save the itemized bill, explanation of benefits, call reference numbers, and written confirmations. To wrap up, the No Surprises Act is powerful but limited. The most common loophole involves planned services at separate out-of-network facilities. The three-way call is your best tool to expose administrative errors and trigger reprocessing. State laws can close gaps, and formal complaint channels are there to help. Persist, document thoroughly, and do not accept incorrect denials. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe if this was helpful. Tell us in the comments what worked for you and what obstacles you encountered so we can address them in future videos.